Nobody else should interfere with that changing thing. Nobody should be telling us how to change it. But when are we going to come to a conclusion that what we are doing needs some work? What we are doing for so long, we need to change it. Sometimes the fear of changing it will keep us doing the same thing all the time. It doesn't have to be that you're doing bad things. It's not things that, oh wow, I just posted the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over, expecting different results. Yes. Thank you, Nadi. See, we alike minds, we feel alike. We're on the same vibration, the Morning Blessing family. We always get it like that. So thank you for that. What you must remember is that it's not because what we're doing is always bad. It's not. It has nothing to do with that. With it being a bad thing. No, it's not a bad thing at all. It could be a great thing that we're doing. Hi, Ron. And one thing we must remember is that we have the ability and we have the choice. But what we have to remember, the resistance is deeper. But when somebody comes to you and the person says, you should stop doing this way, we are in cahoots, I know. When the person says, you will have to stop doing this, is that what you want to hear? And I'm not saying the person that's telling you and I that we must stop doing this. What about the person we are inside of us that is quick to tell somebody we love and we care and we adore, you need to stop doing this? Is that our place though? Is that when we are using our opinion to affect others? And we need to understand what we are doing with this. AK alignment, it is alignment. So one thing we have to remember, guys, is who we are. And you have to, sometimes, I brought this word into this thing, and somebody told me, I never heard of that word before, but man, I love it. That word I started using last week, inflection. So I use inflection to find out about everything in our lives. Inflection is a deep thing to do. Inflection can be scary. Inflection can actually send you around the bend. When you go looking for inflection to find out if what you're doing all those years, because you were taught to do it that way, is that really the best thing for you? Remember though, do not wait for somebody else to trigger that thing into your head to say to you, listen, you have to change. But the only way we can make that change or see that we need to change is by inflecting, where we go inside of us to find out if our results is aligned with our desires. And if our actions that we have been doing for 50 years, some of us have been doing, okay, let's use prayer. Prayer is something that is embedded in us, the way we pray. But you have been doing it for 600 years. I'm just kidding. You have been doing your prayer. Let's say you already came into prayer at 16 and you started feeling the idea of prayer, or as you get into your late teens, early 20s, you start getting in. And then you look back and you're 50 years old. So that basically, let's use 20. You have been doing the same method of prayer for 30 years. And what I want to know is, how is that been working for you? How are you feeling about it? Do you like that? Is that the right thing for you? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. How has that method of prayer been working for us? And are we getting the results? Or are you just hoping? Again, hoping is not a plan. I pray and I hope God decides to pour his grains of seeds of things on me. But the thing about it is that the decision is not made from God. God will just say, you have free will, you choose. I never said to you that you have to do certain things that will always be the same way. You can change. Life has changed. We can look at things that are happening now and see how much change is. You look at the price of gas. Look at the price of getting on public transportation. So if things are changing, why aren't we changing our method of speaking to God? Which is simple, the prayer. But that is not the only one. That isn't. Some of us follow the same things we did when we were employed into retirement. Some of us follow the same thing we did when we were teenagers. But sometimes we need to brush it up a bit. We need to bring it out a bit. We need to make it feel there is something else besides this. And therefore, we need to make sure we touch that. We find out. But the way we will touch that spot is to inflect. How does one inflect? One inflects in moments of stillness and silence. And one is asking self. One is talking to the self, not to the friend on the phone who really is not interested and maybe just called to tell you about their problem, or maybe not. But do they have an answer for how you should pray? Do they have an answer of what you should change? But are they supposed to give you the permission to change? Morning, Arita. We have to understand that we can change anytime what we do, what we think, and how we act. But we do not need the permission of somebody as to say it's okay for you to do that. The thing is that it's inside of us. Nadi said when you're doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result is a form of insanity. But let me tell you, do you really know that that is a form of insanity? Do you realize you have been getting the same result? Or when do you think you have won? So you've been doing the same thing over and over and you keep getting the same answer. Does that mean you're winning? Or does that mean success? What does that mean? How do you want to find that out is to inflect. So you have been looking at it and you see, oh my goodness, I've been doing the same method. I get up, I brush my teeth, I go to the washroom, brush my teeth, and then I sit down and I pray and I pray and I pray. But when you pray, do you stay on point or do you wonder? Do you look around you and do you wonder? So is it really prayer or is it a distraction of comfort that you're accustomed to do it? So what I said, only you should make the decision to change. But in order to make that decision to change, you need to realize you need a change. And how do you find that? You do not find that by listening to the talking heads around you or the opinion givers that surround you. That's not how you're going to reach this. You are going to reach this by sitting by yourself in silence and stillness and saying, you know what? I need to shake things up. Or let me go see how I feel about what I do every day. But you cannot be doing that while you're busy cooking dinner. You cannot be doing that when you're doing other things. You cannot go and inflect and multitask through this. It doesn't work like that. In order to inflect on your actions and the choices you have made, you need to find somewhere to sit in stillness and silence. It does not have to be hours. Decide, give it a number. You know what? I have never done that in my life, you say to yourself. And if you really want to talk to self, look at self in the mirror and go to yourself and say, you know what? I have never sat down and go over myself inside and ask myself, what am I doing? How it's been working? Am I happy? Is this what I desire? Does it bring me joy? All these actions for 50 years or 40 years or 20 years? Hi, Azim. So what do you have to do with this is go in, inflect into your soul and sit in stillness and silence and ask the question, is that how I desire my life to go? And it's only when you say those things that you realize, no, that is not how you desire it. But you cannot do that by walking and talking and asking other people to give you that answer. We always find answers when we are quiet. And we ask the question, then sit down, look in the mirror and say, you know, what are you doing? Is that what you desire? Do you like where you are right now? Take your book and a pen, a blue pen, your goal setting journal, and sit. Sit and start to look and just sit. Don't start writing right away. Go into your heart, into that thing, into that deep thing and say, okay, How is that working for me? How? And wait for an answer. Then write the answer down. If you know, you just keep saying that. How? What is happening here? And ask that question and write what comes to your mind. Do not judge it. Do not say it's coming from you. Do not say it's the devil. Do not say, unless you have dealing with the devil, they're not going to show up. So just sit there. Ask the question, hold on to the question, and breathe into the answer. Write it down. Whether it sounds like it's gibberish, whether the answer you're getting sounds like it's not real, but write it anyway. Because it's only by writing it down we'll be able to dissect it later on. And by writing it down, we'll find a way to discern what we wrote. And it maybe might not make sense today. But tomorrow morning, when you try this again for 10 minutes, it will make sense. So that's one of the things you have to realize. Some water. So, yes. Go for 10 minutes, not 20, not 30. Time it. Set an alarm. Sit down and go in and listen. Close your eyes. Relax. Sit in a comfortable position. Do not get agitated. It's uncomfortable to do new things. It's uncomfortable. So one of the practices you can do before is say, okay, I'm going to see if I can just don't move a muscle for 1 minute. 1 minute. You might not succeed the first time you try that because you think a minute is short. A minute is only short because we do not pay attention to minutes. But sit in 1 minute and don't move a muscle. If your legs are crossed, leave them crossed. If your hands are on your lap, leave them there. Force yourself to stay there. When you're doing this, you will not be thinking of your children, your grandchildren, your uncle, your auntie, your mother, your father, your husband, your wife. You will not. At that time, you'll be only thinking about concentrating on staying quiet, staying still. Don't move a muscle. And just go. When the alarm comes, relax. Breathe, because you will feel really better. And that is how you start going on the journey to change what you want to change in your life. Doing the same thing, the same way all the time, is really getting the same answer. Hi, Lisa, good morning. And getting the same answer and having had that habit that you cannot let go of. You know what you're doing the same way for the past 40 years or 30 is not the best thing for you. But we have a fighter. We are fighting with self. And we know that already. But we are sitting here and we're looking at it. We dare. Some of us will not look. And some of us will feel guilty. When you change the way you're doing things, guilt is going to come knocking at your door. Yes, guilt is going to show up. And you'll feel uncomfortable. Because you have been set in your ways, your mind, your action. The subconscious mind is your body. It loves the same thing over and over again. It does not want you to jolt it. It does not want you to question it. It just wants you to obey it. And that's what you have to remember. I do something on Tuesday nights for TikTok, and I talk about your right, R-I-G-H-T, to write, W-R-I-T-E. And people will call me and tell me, Tessa-Marie, I've had this story forever. And I'm ready to write. And when I sit down ready to write, my mind is going anywhere but there. And I cannot start. And everybody tells me I have writer's block. And I said, you do not have writer's block. You have a mind, and we have a mind and thoughts that we have never been able to control. It takes off, it goes wherever it wants, and we just go with it. Blindly go with it. We do not question where you're going, why you're taking me there. I don't want to have those thoughts. I do not want to have those behaviors. Oh, no, we don't. So what's the answer, she asked. I said, the answer is, right, give it its time. Give your mind, say, okay, I have a plan to write, and you have a plan to come up with all of this. So let's start from the beginning. I'm going to write regardless of what happens here. So what I'm going to write about is what you're thinking, my mind, your thoughts, and where you want to go. So the minute we go, we tell your mind, come on, let's do it. It might stop. Because it's not accustomed to being challenged or being told, okay, go right here, let's do it. I'm with you. We never say that to our mind. So once you start saying to the thought, okay, you do not want me to write my story. You know I have the story. You have heard me recite the story in the shower. You have heard me walk through the story when I'm walking. But now I'm ready to write. You're coming and you're putting a block in my way. You have a story to tell. So let's hear your story. And that is when whatever comes to your mind, you start to write. Because you can't control that. So you write it. But our mind is like a frustrated customer. If you have ever been in customer service and you've met that frustrated customer that just came to let you have it today. When they woke up this morning, we used to say, oh God, they woke up and they saw us at the bank and they're coming to see if they can spoil the day. And they come. And the thing is to let them have the day. They have to stop. They must go home. Your mind will stop, but you write what it's thinking, all what it says. And then all of a sudden, a gap will come, and then you can write your story. That's how you initiate change. It's not comfortable. It's a decision and a discussion with you and your mind. But then I spoke about the resistance. There's another resistance. And that is the strongest of all resistance when you want to make change, is you. You. Resistance of making change. When we are accustomed of cooking 3 meals a day, when we're accustomed of doing all our chores on a specific time and hour and day, when if we have to go somewhere, we go the same, we've been going that time every day for 100 years. If we have to go to the doctor, we make sure we get there at a certain time. It's always a race. Nothing is done in leisure. But then the minute we decide, let's change this, resistance sets in. Resistance. I do not like change. How many times have you heard people say, I do not like change? Yet we are changing every day. Yet there is change happening in our lives every day. And yet we use the word, we do not like change. So obviously, whether we like change or not, change is happening. Whether we like the change or not, change is happening, and change is constant. There is always change. We know that. Today is sunny. We know that from nature, and we know that from our own body. But we choose not to pay attention to the change. And when something is changing, I don't like change. But we deal with change every day. So you can change what you're doing, but it requires time and patience. And sometimes that change we do is the change we need so we can do things and succeed. We are doing the same thing all the time, like Nadi reminded us, and expecting a change, a surprise, a good answer. That's insanity. That's what it is. But that change that we are going to take, that change might give us something better. That change that is uncomfortable. That change, that thought. And it doesn't have to be a physical change, right? We can go and use our 4 agreements and we can say, I am going to choose strong, positive, impeccable words. This woman is a famous, I spoke to it about that in the beginning. She has millions and millions of people that listen to her. And when she opened her mouth and she said those things, I shivered. I just stopped listening to her. I wanted to, but I couldn't. You're telling me it's a similar situation. Greet yourself in the morning. Why do we have to go down the rabbit hole that there is gunk in our mouth when we wake up in the morning? What people do not realize, and you guys can try it. You see that gunk that's in your mouth? Your stomach is waiting for it so you can digest and to feel good today. That's where the bacteria it needs to move things in your body. Your job is to drink, hi Valerie, drink some water and send it down where it belongs. But if you want, that is me, eh? If you want to motivate me, do not tell me about after you brush your teeth and get the gunk out of your mouth. There is no such thing. You're telling me that I am not worthy unless I use toothpaste. You're telling me unless I brush it, but I can drink water and take that bacteria that is in my mouth from the sleeping for 7 to 8 or 10 or whatever hours because my stomach needs it. Try it for a week and see how you will feel. Drink water first, then brush your teeth. Move it where it's supposed to go. But she used the word gawk, and that annoyed me. It's not what she was saying, but it's the words she used. And that really bugged me. I said that to somebody, and she said, and I said it to Yuko. And Yuko said, she talks like a truck driver. And that's what I mean. We are going to get all kinds of resistance when we need to make change. So that is something we have to take care of. We do not want to hear them, then don't listen to that. Your body does not like that you're changing what time you wake up. It doesn't like how time you're going to drink water first. It's going to tell you to brush your teeth first. It's going to describe you like you're dirty, you're smelly, like all the commercial about women, which I said we're going to have a huge topic about it. I'm fed up with these commercials that we need a spray and we need a this and we need a that because we're the most stinking species in the universe. And we have accepted it for years. And I always was angry about it. So now it's time to change all of that. Say no. Do not buy the product of the person that tell you you need a spray so you smell good. No. The French women tried that and they didn't smell any better. So we need to stand up for that. But change is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. But we can change what we do not like in our life. We have to change it. Accepting it is going with your thought. Like I said, your thought has its own program. Your thought is that horrible customer that shows up every day to make your life a living hell. But you want to change that. So do something first that's uncomfortable. Find out inside. Go and find out who you are in there. And let's change that first. So that we have the strength and the dignity to do it and the power to realize this is not working for me. I need to fix that. Hi, Raquel. When something is not working for you and you keep accepting it all the time, like Nadi said, it's insanity. But it is not only insanity. To me, it looks, you know. Remember, you know? You know. You actually know. So is that stupidity or is that fear? Or are you uncomfortable? It's all three. We are uncomfortable doing new things, changing it. People put their hand up like that, like change is COVID. They go to you like that. Oh my, I don't like change. But you cannot live in the world saying you don't like change when every day you are changing. How many of you have gray hairs that you didn't have last year? How many of you are having aches where you didn't have it 20 years ago? Is that change? What is that? But the things that we allow to happen to us is changes that we have no control on. But there are changes we can make in our everyday life that we have control. It doesn't have to be big, drastic changes. It has to realize I am worthy, Tessa-Marie, of spending 10 minutes with my goal-setting journal in my lap, my pen in my hand, and go in and say, who am I? What is my mission? I couldn't just drop into the earth with no purpose. What is my purpose? Is my purpose to serve others? Is my purpose to be joyful? Is my purpose to just be me? Is my purpose to be a teacher? Is my purpose to help others? Is my purpose to see others through their own eye? What is my purpose? Sit for 10 minutes. And then the first 1 minute, make sure you are comfortable for the first minute. and do not move a muscle. You can breathe. You must breathe. But don't shift your leg. Make sure if you're sitting and your legs are crossed, they stay crossed. Your hands are folded, they stay there. Your head is like this, you stay there. Find the most comfortable position to sit. Spend 1 minute not moving. The other 9 minutes, go in and inflect and say, you know what, I'm going on this journey. It's time I find out who I really am. I have been following the lines that were left for me by my parents and grandparents, that I must pray unceasingly. Never stop praying. Never stop the same prayer over and over. Set yourself free from actions that you have inherited, not only in prayer and worship, but other things like doing the laundry. It must be done today. And if you don't do it, you agitate, you're upset. And no, life is not supposed to be like that. Life is supposed to be free, where we have moments of quiet, moments to enjoy, moments to just stare and look. When last you really look into the sun? When last did you stand still and feel the breeze on your body? When last did you accept the sun on your face like a kiss? Do you know it heals? Do you know pulling the energy of the sun into you will heal you? So does the moon. So does everything. But we just keep going in the same flipping pattern day in, day out, stomping on it, wearing it down, and feeling lost on that journey. And only go because the changes happen that we can't control. So something happens, we go to the doctor. But we haven't changed anything ourselves. So the things that are changing automatically with aging and life and this and that and loss of friends and family, we accept it. But to us to enact our own changes in our life, we seem to have a block. We have to let ourselves know, yes, we have the power to change what we do not like. We have the power to do more of what we like. We have the power to be able to go in and look at what we're doing with our life and see if that is where we want it to be. But we cannot do it if we're expecting somebody else to give us the direction. I will never, ever tell you to do this. I will just tell you, if you want change, you need to inflect. You need to go in and inflect. I will tell you how to start, because it's difficult. I will tell you, do not attempt half an hour. It's too difficult. I will tell you, try 10 minutes, and that might be doable. But for another person, 5 minutes is all. You know, some people do not even like looking at themselves in the mirror. They cannot stand it. Can you imagine what they would do if they really saw how the Holy Spirit is moving in them? It would floor them. How your true self is in there and is not outside of you. It would floor them. So for today, just think about it. Write about it. Like say, you know what? I'm going to try to see how long I can sit still without moving a muscle. Just like that. You will be so deep into making sure you sit still that you will not think of anything good or bad that is happening to you in the moment. And that's good. 1 minute to be able to do that. Then the other 9 minutes or the other 4 minutes, if you chose a 5-minute moment of observation, stillness, and silence, then let your mind go and write it. When you go in there, write. When you go inside, say, I'm going to seek me. Do I like where I am? Do I like my weight? What can I change about it? What can I change about what I eat? What can I change about what I do every day? What can I change about today? What can I change in this moment? Sending you light and joy. Have a wonderful